Here is some insane relationship drama. Cheating stories from Reddit that will shock you. Story 1. Let me paint the scene the way it went down, because honestly, it still feels unreal that I even questioned myself at first. So for context, I'm a 27-year-old guy, living in the Midwest, working a pretty normal 9 to 5. My girlfriend, let's call her Emily, is 25. We have been dating for almost 2 years when everything started unraveling. And yeah, before anyone asks, I really thought she was the one. The kind of girl who wakes up smiling, drinks iced coffee even when it's 20 degrees outside, and buys ridiculous scented candles from Target because they make the apartment feel wholesome. That was Emily. Or at least, that's who I thought she was. The first red flag wasn't actually a huge moment. It was tiny. So tiny I brushed it off. We were sitting on the couch watching some random Netflix show, and her phone buzzed. She picked it up, read the message, and tilted the screen away from me. Not dramatically, just a subtle shift. But I noticed. Now, before you think I'm paranoid, let me tell you this. Emily has never cared if I saw her phone. She would leave it face up on the couch, on the table, in the bathroom, everywhere. We were the no-secrets couple. Or so I thought. But that night, her thumb jerked across the screen like she was hiding something. She even laughed in a way that felt forced. Too bright, too loud, like laughter meant to distract. I asked, something funny? She goes, oh, just a meme. Then she locked her phone and put it screen down on the table. That was red flag number 1. I ignored it, because that's what you do when you really love someone. You assume the best. The second red flag came a few days later. We were supposed to have dinner together after work. She texted me around 5:30 p.m. Hey babe, work ran late. Might just grab something quick with the girls. Totally fine. She has a group of co-workers she hangs out with. Nothing new. But here's the thing. Later that night, her location on Snap Maps suddenly turned off. It had never been off before. Not once. I noticed it while I was waiting for my food to heat up in the microwave, and that sinking feeling you get in your stomach when something isn't adding up. Yeah, that hit me hard. I asked her casually, hey, your Snap location turned off. Everything okay? She replied fast, too fast. Oh, yeah, I didn't even realize. Probably just the app glitching. Like an idiot, I believed her. The next week, she started guarding her phone like it held nuclear codes. Always face down. Always in her pocket. Even brought it to the bathroom. The girl who used to leave her phone charging the kitchen while she showered now took it everywhere like a toddler clutches a teddy bear. But the moment that really made my gut twist happened on a random Tuesday night. I walked into the bedroom and heard her giggling softly on the phone. She saw me walk in and immediately lowered her voice, then hung up. Who was that? I asked. My mom, she said without even blinking. Except her mom has a very distinct voice. And that wasn't it. Again, I swallowed it, because confronting someone you love feels like accusing them. And I wasn't ready to believe that my girlfriend might betray me. The final straw, the moment that shifted everything, happened 2 weeks later. It was a Saturday morning. Emily was in the shower, and her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I swear to God, I wasn't trying to snoop, but the preview lit up, and a name popped onto the screen. Jason Blackheart. Now listen, I'm not Sherlock Holmes, but putting a black heart next to some guy's name, that wasn't normal. I had never seen this name before. She had never mentioned it, Jason. And the message preview? Last night was crazy, LOL. I didn't read the rest because my chest tightened so hard it felt like a fist was squeezing my lungs. Miss what? Last night what? Miss her? My hands were shaking when she walked out of the bathroom. Her hair was wrapped in a towel, steam floating around her like some innocent cloud. And in that moment, I felt something I never thought I'd feel toward Emily, fear. Not fear like I was scared of her, but fear that I was about to lose the version of her I loved. Fear that everything we built was based on lies. I asked her straight up, who's Jason? She froze. Not for long, just a split second. But that split second told me everything. Her eyes widened just a tiny bit. Her lips parted, and then she forced the most casual smile I've ever seen. Oh, just an old friend from college. A friend from college who texts, "Last night was crazy," who gets a black heart emoji. Yeah, sure. That was the moment I knew something was wrong. Like, very wrong. But I had no idea how bad it really was. And I definitely wasn't prepared for what she was going to do next, because somehow, some way, she was about to flip everything around and make it seem like I was the villain. I wish I could tell you that I handled everything calmly after seeing Jason's message, that I patiently waited for the perfect moment, gathered facts, breathed deeply like some relationship guru, and then approached Emily like an adult. But no, I spent the entire day spiraling like a man who just realized his whole relationship might be a lie. The thing is, once you see something suspicious, your brain doesn't go back to normal. You start noticing everything. Every small detail becomes evidence. The way she smiles at her phone, the sudden work stress, the random change in perfume she started using, the fact that she locked her phone for the first time in 2 years. But still, I didn't want to accuse her without real proof. I kept trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. I told myself maybe last night was crazy, was an inside joke. Maybe the black heart emoji meant nothing. Maybe Jason was gay or a coworker or a long-lost cousin. I was grasping at straws so hard they were splintering in my hands. The real discovery, the one I couldn't escape, happened 2 nights later. It was around 11 p.m. I was in bed, half asleep, while Emily was in the living room finishing up some work stuff. She said she had reports due and needed to stay up late. Normally, I wouldn't question it, but after what I'd seen, my instincts told me to stay awake. Around 11:25, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She had left it there by accident. Probably didn't realize it. I stared at it for a good 10 seconds, debating what to do. I wasn't going to unlock it. I wasn't a snoop. But then it lit up again. This time the preview didn't just show a name. It showed part of a message. Jason Blackheart. Wish you were here right now. My heart dropped into my stomach. I felt sick. My hands went numb. This wasn't a meme. This wasn't a joke. This wasn't a friend. This was exactly what it looked like. Another buzz. Another message. You made last night feel different. Like old times. That was it. My breathing went weird. My ears started ringing. My whole body had that electric jolt you get when you narrowly avoid a car crash. Old times? Last night? Wish you were here? This was not emotional support texting. This was cheating. At best emotional. At worst, I didn't even want to think about it. I stared at the screen, frozen, until the message preview faded. All the little red flags I ignored suddenly fused together into one giant burning billboard that said, "You were right." Emily walked into the room, maybe 2 minutes later, holding a mug of tea like. Everything was normal. "You're still awake?" she asked casually. She didn't even look at her phone. Didn't notice anything was different. She climbed into bed, kissed my shoulder, and rolled over. I didn't sleep. Not for a second. The next morning, I woke up before her and sat in the kitchen trying to figure out what the hell to do. Confront her? Check her phone for more context? Pretend nothing happened until I had more proof? I felt exhausted and wired at the same time. When she walked into the kitchen wearing my hoodie like nothing was wrong, I almost lost it. She looked so innocent it pissed me off. She kissed my cheek, poured coffee, and started humming some Taylor Swift song. Her phone buzzed twice on the counter. Buzz. Buzz. She didn't even look at the screen. Just picked it up, flipped it over face down, and pushed it away like she was hiding a live grenade. That's when I spoke. "Who is Jason?" I said it flat. Calm. No shouting. No shaking voice. Just straight to the point. Her entire body stiffened, like a cat hearing a dog growl. "W what?" she said. "Jason." I repeated. "Your phone lit up last night. I saw his name." She blinked fast. Guilty people always blink fast. And try to laugh it off. "Oh my God, babe, are you serious? Jason is he's just someone I knew from before. It's not a big deal." "Then why does he miss you?" I asked. She froze again. And why was last night crazy? Another freeze. And why does he have a black heart next to his name? Her face drained of color. So fast, I thought she was going to faint. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again, and then chose the oldest trick in the book. She got mad. Are you seriously invading my privacy right now? She snapped. I swear, the audacity nearly knocked me out of my chair. I didn't invade anything, I said. Your phone lit up on the nightstand. I didn't unlock it. I didn't go through anything. She threw her hands up. So what? I'm not allowed to talk to people now. Not like that, I said. Not secretly. Not lying about where you were. Not turning off your location. Not sending romantic messages to an ex. Bingo. I said the word. Ex. Her eyes widened. That's what this is about? She said, arms crossed. You're jealous I'm talking to someone I used to date? No, I said. I'm upset that you're hiding it. She scoffed, like I was being dramatic. And then she hit me with the wildest line I've ever heard in a relationship. If I talk to him, it's because you've been emotionally distant lately. My jaw actually dropped. Emotionally distant? Me? The guy who cooks for her, helps her with laundry, listens to her vent, buys her favorite snacks, rubs her back when she's stressed? I couldn't even respond. She kept going. You barely compliment me anymore. You don't plan dates. You're always tired. I needed someone to talk to. That's all. I stared at her in disbelief. She wasn't denying it. She wasn't apologizing. She wasn't even pretending to care about how I felt. She was justifying it, blaming me for her cheating. And then, as if that wasn't insane enough, she said the line that set me into another dimension. If you want to fix this, you need to apologize for making me feel neglected. I swear on everything. My soul left my body for a second. Apologize? Apologize? I didn't even answer. I just walked out of the kitchen and sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel while my brain tried to reboot. That was the moment I finally realized I wasn't dealing with a mistake. I was dealing with manipulation. But I still didn't know just how deep it went. Not yet. When I walked out of the house that morning, I honestly thought I'd be gone for maybe 15 minutes. Just a quick drive around the block to clear my head. But I ended up parking in an empty Target lot for almost 2 hours, staring at the steering wheel like it was going to give me answers. I kept hearing her voice on repeat in my head. If you want to fix this, you need to apologize for making me feel neglected. The more I replayed it, the more insane it sounded. She cheated, she lied, she hid messages, and somehow I was the one who needed to say sorry. I wasn't even angry at first. It was more like disbelief mixed with numbness. I kept asking myself, is she really that disconnected from reality? Or have I just let her get away with too much for too long? The sun was already high by the time I drove back home. I didn't want to go in, but I also couldn't avoid it forever. When I opened the door, Emily was sitting on the couch like she'd been waiting for me. She didn't look guilty. She didn't look scared. She looked annoyed, like I was late coming home from grocery shopping, not trying to process the fact my girlfriend might be cheating. There you are, she said with a tone that made my skin crawl. We need to talk. Oh, now she wanted to talk. She crossed her arms and launched into a speech she definitely rehearsed while I was gone. First of all, she said, I don't appreciate you storming off like that. It was childish. If you want this relationship to work, you need to communicate instead of running away. Running away. Running. Away. I swear I almost laughed. She was acting like she caught me texting an ex named Jason with black heart emojis. But I swallowed everything inside me and sat down across from her. Emily, I said slowly, I'm going to say this once. What you did isn't okay. You've been hiding things for weeks, lying about where you were, texting someone behind my back, getting messages like, I miss you, and last night was crazy. I didn't run away. I took a minute because I'm hurt. She rolled her eyes. Rolled her eyes. Are we still on that? She snapped. My jaw actually tensed. Still on that? Emily, this happened literally yesterday. Well, if you weren't so sensitive. I cut her off. No, you don't get to minimize this. Her eyes narrowed like I had just insulted her entire family. "Oh my God, you're being dramatic," she said. "It wasn't like I slept with him." My stomach twisted. "So you did meet up with him?" She blinked. There was that half-second hesitation that tells the truth louder than words. "I mean, yeah," she said, "but it wasn't like that. We were just catching up." "At night?" I asked. "Yes." "Without telling me?" "It wasn't a big deal. You turned your location off. It glitched. He texted you saying he missed you. It's just how he talks. Last night was crazy. That was out of context. Emily, he sent you that at 11 p.m. Well, he's in a different time zone. Jason lived in the same city. I knew it. She knew it. She just said it because she couldn't think of a better lie fast enough. I leaned forward, trying to keep my voice level. "Emily, stop. Just be honest with me." She crossed her arms tighter and glared at me. "I am being honest. I told you if I talked to him, it's because you weren't giving me what I needed emotionally. You've been distant. You haven't taken me out on dates. You've been boring lately." Boring. That one stung more than I expected. I took a breath. "So your solution was to reconnect with your ex? Behind my back?" She shrugged. "Everybody needs someone to talk to." "But you didn't talk to me," I said. "I tried," she snapped. "But every time I bring something up, you get defensive." "I get defensive because you only bring things up when you're already mad." Her voice rose. "Because you don't listen. You never listen. You're always tired. You get home and go straight to the couch. What am I supposed to do? Just sit there waiting for you to magically become the perfect boyfriend again?" Perfect boyfriend. Now that was wild. "I never asked you to be perfect," I said. "Well, maybe you should have," she muttered. I stared at her. This wasn't the girl I fell in love with. This was someone who had rewritten the entire relationship in her head, so she could justify betraying me. I decided to ask the question I had been afraid of. "Emily, are you still in love with him?" Her eyes darted away for a second. A tiny second. But that was all it took. "I love you," she said quickly. Too quickly. "But he understands me in ways you don't." That sentence hit like a punch. "He understands you?" I repeated. She threw her hands up. "Yes. He listens. He asks about my feelings. He checks in. He remembers things. He supports me." I swallowed hard. "So you cheated on me emotionally because he texts pretty words?" "You're twisting everything," she yelled. "This is why I didn't tell you anything. Because you make me feel like the bad guy." I stared at her with numb disbelief. "You were the bad guy." That's when she flipped. She stood up so fast the couch cushion shifted behind her. Wow. So you're just going to blame me for everything? For feeling lonely? For being ignored? For needing connection? You had connection," I said quietly. "You just chose someone else to give it to." She shook her head violently. "No. You pushed me away. You became distant, cold, unavailable. And honestly, if you want to fix this, you're going to have to admit you caused this." I blinked slowly. "Emily, what exactly do you want me to apologize for?" She didn't hesitate. "For neglecting me," she said. "For making me feel unloved. And for overreacting to messages you completely misunderstood." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She cheated. She lied. She hid everything. And she still expected me to. "Say it," she insisted. "Say you're sorry so we can move forward." I stood up calmly. "No." Her mouth fell open. "No. I repeated. "I'm not apologizing for something I didn't do." Her face twisted with anger I didn't even know she was capable of. "Then you're throwing this entire relationship away over nothing." I looked her dead in the eyes. "This wasn't nothing. And you know it." She stormed off to the bedroom, slamming the door so hard a picture frame rattled on the wall. I stood alone in the living room, heart pounding, knowing the truth. This relationship wasn't broken because of me. It was broken because she wanted it to break and needed someone to blame. But I still hadn't seen the full picture, because the next few days were going to show me just how manipulative she could get. After the door slammed, the house went completely silent. The kind of silence that feels heavy, like the air itself is waiting to see what happens next. I didn't follow her. I didn't knock. I didn't try to patch things up like I usually did. I just sat there, staring at the blank TV screen, replaying every moment of our 2-year relationship through a lens I had never used before. The late-night study sessions she never explained. The guy who hugged her too tightly at a barbecue last summer. The sudden need for privacy. The mood swings. The guilt trips. Had this been going on longer than I realized, I must have sat there for an hour, frozen, while my brain assembled puzzle pieces I had ignored for months. Around 8 p.m., she finally came out of the room, not to apologize, not to talk, but to grab her bag and keys. "I'm going out," she said without looking at me. "To see Jason?" It slipped out before I could stop it. She whipped around, eyes blazing. "You know what? Believe whatever you want. I'm tired of proving myself." Then she left. I didn't chase her. For the first time in our entire relationship, I didn't chase her. And that was the turning point. I stayed up most of the night. Not crying. Not yet. Just thinking. Everything felt clearer in the dark. This wasn't about Jason. He was a symptom. This was about her lack of accountability. Her inability to admit when she was wrong. Her habit of flipping everything onto me. It didn't matter what I did. She would always find a way to blame me for her choices. That realization hit harder than the cheating itself. When she came back around 1:45 a.m., she was quiet. I pretended to be asleep. She crawled into bed carefully, probably expecting a fight in the morning. But there was no fight, because the next day, I didn't bring anything up. I didn't ask where she was. I didn't demand answers. I just detached. I got up early, got dressed for work, and left without waking her. I didn't leave a note. I didn't text her. And it clearly threw her off, because around 10 a.m. she blew up my phone. "Emily, so you're ignoring me now?" "Emily, wow, real mature." "Emily, I guess I'm the only one who cares about this relationship." Then radio silence for an hour. Then, "Emily, I'm sorry I yelled. Can we talk later?" That was new. Emily never apologized first. After work, instead of going straight home, I stopped by my friend Marcus's place. He's been my best friend since high school. One of those brutally honest friends who refuses to sugarcoat anything. I told him everything, every detail. The look on his face said it all. "Dude," he said, "she's been manipulating you for months." Hearing it from someone else made it real. Painful, but real. Then he dropped the bomb I wasn't ready for. "Bro, she's been complaining about you to people." "What do you mean?" I asked. Marcus hesitated. "Some of our mutuals heard her at the bar last weekend. She said you're boring, that you don't satisfy her emotionally, that she's happier when she's not home." I felt my chest tighten. "So she's been rewriting our relationship publicly?" I asked. "Man, she's been laying the groundwork, making you look like the problem." I leaned back in the chair, stunned. While I was busy loving her, she was busy building a victim narrative. That's when Marcus said something I'll never forget. "You can stay and she'll keep breaking you. Or you can leave and start healing." It was the first time I allowed myself to consider the possibility that the relationship might be over, not because of Jason, but because she didn't value me. When I got home, everything felt different. The apartment felt smaller. The air felt colder. Emily was on the couch with puffy eyes like she'd been crying. But when I walked in, she tried to look composed. "We need to talk," she said softly. For once, I was calm and she was nervous. She scooted closer to me on the couch. "I'm sorry for how I reacted earlier," she said. "I wasn't in a good place emotionally." Interesting how she apologized for her reaction, but not the cheating. I nodded but didn't say anything. "I feel like we've been drifting," she continued, "and I didn't know how to talk to you about it." "You could have just talked," I said quietly. "I tried," she insisted. "But every time I do, you get upset." "I get upset because you wait until you're already angry before you say anything." She sighed dramatically, wiping fake tears. "I just need you to take some responsibility, too. I wouldn't have talked to him if I felt fully loved." I leaned forward. "Emily, you're responsible for your choices. Not me. She froze. I'm not apologizing, I said. I won't take the fall for something you did. Her face shifted instantly from sad to cold. So that's it, she said. You're just done. No, I said, I'm setting a boundary. A real one. I'm not going to let you guilt trip me anymore. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the person sitting in front of her. You've never talked to me like this. Because I finally see what's been happening. Her voice dropped to a whisper. So you don't love me anymore? That hit me harder than I expected. I do love you, I said, but loving you doesn't mean letting you hurt me. She opened her mouth but didn't speak. We sat there in silence for a few seconds before she finally said, Can we start over? The old me, the one who always forgave her, would have said yes immediately. But the new me, the one who saw everything clearly, I shook my head. No, we can fix this only if you take responsibility for what actually happened. She stared and then looked away, which told me everything I needed to know. She wasn't ready to be honest. She wasn't ready to change. She wanted the appearance of fixing things, not the work. And that was the moment I realized the relationship was already over. I just hadn't said the words yet. So here I am, standing in the doorway of my own apartment, staring at the girl I thought I'd grow old with, and she's telling me, no, informing me, that the only way we can fix things is if I apologize to her for invading her privacy, for making her feel judged, for not trusting her. Mind you, this is after I literally caught her texting her ex phrases like, I miss talking to you and things would have been different if, and I don't know if I'm happy anymore. But somehow, magically, through the power of mental gymnastics, this was all my fault. And now she's sitting cross-legged on the couch, acting like she's the CEO of Cheating Incorporated, delivering the final terms of contract I didn't even apply for. I'm trying to keep my cool, because I genuinely want to understand how she got from, I emotionally betrayed you by texting my ex, to, you owe me an apology for making me feel guilty about it. She looks at me like this is a perfectly normal thought process, like I'm the one being unreasonable. So, she says, are you ready to apologize? You know, when your brain hits that point where it just freezes, like it stops trying to figure things out because the situation is too stupid to decode? That was me. For a few seconds, I genuinely thought I had misheard her. Or maybe she was joking. But she wasn't. She was dead serious. Then she hits me with, if you want us to work, you have to show effort. Relationships take accountability from both sides. Both sides? Both sides of what? Her phone? I ask her very calmly what exactly she thinks I need to be accountable for. She lets out this dramatic sigh, like she's been holding the world on her shoulders. You don't make me feel chosen anymore. I swear, I almost sprained something in my neck from how fast I turned to look at her. You were texting your ex. That's all I said. But she nods like I've just confirmed her point. Exactly. Why do you think that happened? At this point, I'm convinced she's living in some alternate reality where cheating is a natural response to mild emotional discomfort. Then she starts crying, like full-on tears. And I can tell she thinks this is her big Oscar moment, like she thought if she could just cry hard enough, I'd break down and feel guilty. She's wiping her face dramatically, staring at me like I'm the monster who ruined her life. You never check in on my feelings, she says between sobs. You should have asked me sooner if I was unhappy. I blink. You could have told me. I reply, and that sets her off. Why do I always have to start the emotional conversations? You never make me feel pursued anymore. Pursued? We live together. We split groceries. We share a Netflix account. We go on date nights every Friday. What exactly needed pursuing? But she keeps going. Texting my ex wasn't cheating. She says, it was emotional comfort. You push me to that because you don't listen. And that's when something inside me just clicked. Not angry, not shocked, just stunned. You ever hit that point where someone's behavior stops being painful and just becomes pathetic? Where you stop trying to fix things because you finally realize the person in front of you isn't capable of accountability. That was me. And suddenly, for the first time since this whole disaster started, I felt calm. Okay, I said, if you want an apology, here it is. Her eyes lit up. She sat up straighter. She genuinely believed she'd won. I took a breath. I'm sorry that it took me this long to see your true character. Her smile vanished. I'm sorry that I ignored all the red flags. Her eyebrows pulled together. I'm sorry that I thought you respected me, or us, or yourself. Now she's full panic. And I'm sorry, but this relationship is over. She jumped up like she'd been electrocuted. Wait, what? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I didn't insult her. I just said, I'm done. She immediately switched tactics. First, she tried anger. You're really going to throw everything away over a few texts? Then came guilt. You're seriously abandoning me when I'm struggling emotionally? Then manipulation. If you walk out that door, you'll regret it forever. No one will ever love you like I do. And finally, begging, please don't do this. We can fix it. I'll block him. I'll delete everything. But it was too late. You can't unbreak trust. You can't unsee disrespect. And you definitely can't unhear someone telling you their cheating was your fault. I packed a bag. She followed me around the apartment crying, switching between anger and apologies every 30 seconds. But I was done. I walked out, called my friend, stayed with him for a week, and then grabbed the rest of my stuff later with witnesses. She texted me paragraph after paragraph. Everything from, I love you, please come home, to, I hope you realize how toxic you are, to you ruin my mental health. But I didn't reply. Not once. Final update. Posted to Reddit 2 months later. I moved into a new place. Started focusing on myself again. Got back in shape. Reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in ages. Meanwhile, she tried dating her ex again. Apparently they lasted 3 weeks before he ghosted her. I didn't feel smug. I didn't feel satisfied. I just felt free. Because here's the truth I learned the hard way. When someone tries to blame you for the pain they caused, they're not looking for a relationship. They're looking for a hostage. And I walked out of the hostage situation for good. Be honest. Was ending the relationship the right move, or should I have given her another chance? Please drop your comment. Story 2. If you ever had that gut feeling that something isn't right, not loud enough to cause a fight, but strong enough that it keeps tugging at the back of your mind, then you'll understand exactly where my story begins. If you have watched this far, kindly hit the subscribe button to catch all the latest stories, and share this with anyone who loves juicy Reddit drama. So, my girlfriend, Alyssa, had been talking nonstop about wanting a girls' trip with her 2 closest friends from college. She said they all needed a break, needed to reconnect, needed a weekend away from work, stress, and she made sure to say this with a cute smirk. Boy drama. I didn't think much of it. Honestly, I felt proud of myself for being supportive. That's what a good boyfriend does, right? Support your girlfriend. Make sure she feels loved and encouraged. So when she mentioned that the flights were more expensive than expected and that she was a little tight on money this month, I didn't hesitate. I transferred her the amount she needed. Enough for flights, hotel, airport Uber, the whole package. And she hugged me like I just saved her life. But here's where things started feeling off. For weeks leading up to this trip, Alyssa became a different person. She suddenly had this intense gym grind. Like, out of nowhere, she was waking up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym before work. She'd never done that in the entire 2 years we'd been together. She bought new outfits, the kind she never wore around me. New leggings, new sports bras, new perfume. A whole new fitness wardrobe. She even started taking her phone with her into the bathroom when she showered, which she'd never done before. Again, little things. Small things. Not enough to start a fight, but enough to make you wonder. I finally asked her jokingly one night, did one of your gym trainers inspire this new fitness obsession? She paused for just a little too long, then laughed too loud, then said, no, stop being weird. I brushed it off, because you don't want to be that boyfriend, the paranoid one, the controlling one, the insecure one. Every guy fears becoming that dude. So I told myself I was imagining it. Trip week finally came. She packed more clothes than I've ever seen her pack for anything. Dresses, heels, makeup, like she was going to Miami Fashion Week instead of a chill girls weekend. But again, I shut my brain up. She kissed me goodbye at the airport, told me she loved me, told me she'd FaceTime me when they landed. She didn't. Then the next day, she barely texted. The first excuse was, "Sorry, babe, spotty Wi-Fi." The second excuse was, "We're just super busy. Promise I'll call tomorrow." Tomorrow came no call. By the third day, she finally sent me one blurry selfie of her and the girls on a beach. Except something bothered me. The angle was weird, like she cropped it from someone else's photo. Still, I trusted her. I told myself I was overthinking. I told myself I needed to relax and let her enjoy her trip. But when she got home, everything about her was off. Her energy, her attitude, her defensiveness. She didn't even tell me stories about the trip, which was strange because Alyssa normally tells me every detail of her day, even things I didn't need to know. Instead, she went straight to shower, acted tired, and barely touched me. I let it slide, because again, you don't want to be the paranoid boyfriend. But the truth has a way of coming out. And in my case, it came from the last person I expected, her friend. And that is where everything fell apart. 3 days after Alyssa came back from her so-called girls' trip, I was at work, sitting in my car during my lunch break, eating a sandwich I wasn't even enjoying because my brain was still stuck on all the weird vibes she'd been giving me. Then my phone buzzed. A name popped up on the screen that instantly made my stomach drop. Jenna, her best friend, one of the girls she supposedly went on the trip with. Now, let me tell you something about Jenna. She's not my friend. She's Alyssa's friend. She doesn't like me. Or at least, she never hid that she didn't think Alyssa was ready for a serious relationship. She always looked at me like I wasn't good enough, even though she never said it. So the fact that SHE was calling me, out of nowhere, that alone told me this was about to be bad. I answered, "Hello." She didn't even say hi. Her voice came out tight, shaky, and honestly angry. "I need to tell you something. You deserve to know." Right there, my heart started pounding. I swear I could feel my pulse in my palms. "What happened?" I asked, trying to sound calm. She exhaled like she'd been holding this in for too long. "We didn't go on a girls' trip," she said. "Alyssa lied to you." Just like that. No warm-up. No softening the blow. Everything in my body went cold. It felt like someone had unplugged me from the world. I didn't say anything for a few seconds because my brain was replaying every moment. The gym clothes, the secretive texting, the sudden surge of confidence, the weird trip behavior. Then I forced myself to speak. "Where did she go?" Jenna hesitated. I could hear background noise, like she stepped outside to make this call. Then she said it. She went to Miami with that guy from her gym. A full body freeze, like someone hit pause on me. That guy from the gym. The one she laughed too hard about when I joked. The reason she suddenly needed new leggings and 5 a.m. workouts. It all connected. My voice came out low. "What guy?" Her voice dropped too, quieter, almost guilty. "His name's Cody. The new trainer at her gym. She's been flirting with him for weeks." I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. And the money I gave her? This part, I already knew the answer, but I had to hear it. Jenna sighed again, long and heavy. "She used your money for everything. The flights, the hotel, the restaurants, everything." My stomach twisted. I felt stupid, like the biggest idiot on the planet. I'd paid for my girlfriend's entire romantic getaway with another man. I didn't even know what to say. I just sat there in the car, staring at nothing, listening to Jenna breathe on the other end. Then she continued, quietly, "I'm telling you this because she's trying to make it look like everything's normal. But it's not, and I'm not okay being part of it. She put us in a horrible position, lying to you." "Us?" I asked. "Yeah," Jenna said. She told everyone to cover for her, me, Kelsey, the whole group chat. She said she just needed space from the relationship to figure things out. I felt like someone had punched through my chest. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I asked. She didn't even hesitate. "Because Alyssa is my friend, but this crossed a line. And watching you be nice to her afterward, Hearing her brag about how she deserved a vacation, I couldn't keep quiet. I swallowed. Hard. So you're sure? This is 100% true. Absolutely, she said. I even have screenshots. I can send them to you. And look, she's probably going to freak out when she finds out I told you. So just be ready. I nodded even though she couldn't see me. Send them. 2 seconds later, ding, ding, ding. Screenshots started flooding in. Hotel reservations. Flight confirmations. A picture of Alyssa and the guy from the gym. Not kissing or anything inappropriate, but definitely close enough that it was obvious they weren't just friends. And then the worst one, a message from Alyssa in their girls' group chat that said, "Don't tell him anything. Just back me up if he asks questions. He owed me this trip anyway." He owed her the trip, as if cheating with my money was some kind of reward. I stared at that text for a long time. It didn't even hurt at first. It was more like shock, a numb, heavy, unreal feeling. Jenna's voice pulled me back. "Look, I'm sorry. I really am. But you needed to know." I thanked her, probably the most awkward thank you I've ever given, and hung up. Then I just sat there, engine running, food untouched, hands shaking just slightly. I'd been cheated on before years ago, but this was different. This wasn't just lying. This wasn't just betrayal. This was manipulation, deception, a premeditated trip funded by me, the guy who trusted her completely. And suddenly, all the weirdness made sense. The gym obsession, the secrecy, the sudden loss of affection, the lack of connection, the distance on the trip. She wasn't pulling away. She wasn't stressed. She wasn't tired. She was living her best life on a mini vacation with a dude she barely knew, while I was at home checking her location and hoping she was having fun with her friends. Everything clicked. Everything hurt. Everything burned. And I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't let this go. I couldn't pretend I didn't know. I couldn't stay quiet. This wasn't just cheating. This was planned betrayal, paid for with my own money. And I was going to confront her. That's where Chapter 3 begins. By the time I drove home that evening, I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was too calm, too controlled. That strange type of calm that only happens right before a storm. The kind that makes you realize you're not going to yell. You're not going to cry. You're not going to break anything. You're just going to tell the truth. And let the truth do the damage. When I walked into the apartment, Alyssa was on the couch scrolling TikTok, wearing one of my hoodies like she hadn't just used my money to take another man on vacation. She looked up and smiled. "Hey, babe, you're home early." If she noticed anything off about my face, she didn't show it. Or maybe she assumed I had no idea, because she really thought she was untouchable. I set my keys down slowly. "Yeah," I said, "we need to talk." Her smile faded, just slightly. Girls who lie a lot, they can always sense when the game is about to end. About what?" she asked, tried to sound casual. I didn't sit down. I didn't soften my voice. I just said it. "How was Miami?" Her entire body froze. Not a blink, not a twitch, not a breath. She stared at me like she couldn't tell whether I was joking or testing her. Then she forced a laugh. "Miami? What are you talking about? I was in..." I cut her off. "Don't lie." My tone wasn't loud, but it was sharp enough to slice the room in half. Her mouth opened, then closed. I pulled out my phone and held up the screenshots. Her hotel booking, the group chat messages, and the picture of her with the gym guy, Cody, his hand on the small of her back. She went pale. Not a little pale. I mean snow white. Like every drop of blood in her face evaporated. "Where did you get those?" she whispered. "Your friend." I said, "The one you told to lie for you." Her jaw clenched. Not in guilt, in anger. Not at what she did, but at the fact that she got caught. "I can explain," she said, standing up. "No," I said calmly. "You can tell the truth." She swallowed hard, looked down, then looked at me again. And just like that, here came her lies. It wasn't what it looks like. I almost laughed. The cheating anthem. "Really?" I asked, "because it looks exactly like what it is." She took a step forward. We're just friends. Nothing happened. I just needed a break, and I held up my hand. A break that I paid for? She winced. But Alyssa is a particular type of person, the type who, when cornered, reaches for gaslighting like it's her survival instinct. Ugh, why do you always twist everything? She snapped. You're blowing this out of proportion. I stared at her. You lied about the trip. It wasn't lying. It was editing the truth. I blinked slowly. She actually said that, with her full chest. You hid that you went with a guy. He's someone I talked to at the gym. That doesn't mean anything. You hid that you used my money. I didn't use your money. You offered, and I needed space. You've been so distant lately. There it was, the shift. When cheaters get caught, they always follow the same script. Deny, deflect, blame you. You're seriously blaming me? I asked. She threw her hands up. Well, what did you expect? You're always working. You never make plans anymore. You don't show affection like you used to. I needed to feel wanted. You wanted to feel wanted. I repeated. So you went on vacation with another man? It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? She hesitated. Her eyes started to water, the classic performance tears. But something was different this time. She wasn't crying out of sadness. She was crying out of panic. Look, she said, voice quivering. I'm sorry, okay? I messed up. I needed to escape. I didn't know how to tell you. You could have just broken up with me. Her lips trembled. I didn't lose you. You lost me the moment you booked that flight. She covered her face with her hands like she couldn't believe this was happening. Then, like flipping a switch, she snapped. You know what? Fine. I went with him. Are you happy? But nothing happened. We just talked, hung out, and I got clarity. I realized I wasn't sure about us. So you got clarity on the beach that I paid for? I asked. Stop saying that, she yelled. You're making me feel like a horrible person. You are, I said plainly, because you lied and used me and cheated. She shook her head. It wasn't cheating. You spent the weekend with another man in a hotel room, pretending you were with your friends. It's not cheating if we weren't physical. I stared at her. Then why didn't you tell me beforehand? She froze again, because she knew the answer, because she knew it was wrong, because she knew if she told me the truth, I would have left her before she ever stepped on that plane. I grabbed my keys. I'm done, I said quietly. Pack whatever you need. I'm ending this. She rushed toward me, grabbing my arm. No, wait, please. Please. We can fix this. No, I repeated. You broke it. You planned it. You hid it. You involved your friends. You lied to my face. I'm not saving you from consequences. She dropped to her knees, literally, crying, begging, swearing she'd block him, delete him, never go back to that gym, whatever I wanted. But I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't shaking. I was just done, calmly done. And that terrified her more than any argument ever could. I walked out the door without another word. The fallout came next. And trust me, it was just as messy as a betrayal. I didn't expect it to be quiet when I left Alyssa's apartment, but it was too quiet, like the world had paused for a moment, waiting for me to second-guess myself, to go back, to forgive her like I always had before. I didn't. I drove to my friend Marcus's place and crashed there that night. No arguments, no shouting, no lingering doubts, just relief. Finally, freedom from her manipulation. The next morning, my phone started buzzing nonstop. Texts, calls, DMs. From Alyssa, from her friends, even from some mutual acquaintances. Please talk to me. I can explain everything. You don't understand. I was stressed and needed space. You're ruining everything. I didn't reply. Every notification made me feel a little lighter, because the more she reached, the more I realized how much weight she'd been holding over me with lies, deception, and guilt trips. Within a few days, I started hearing rumors from friends and co-workers that Alyssa was telling everyone a very different story. Apparently, in her version, I didn't support her emotionally. I wasn't affectionate anymore. I drove her to make a choice she wouldn't normally have made. Basically, she painted me as the villain while she was the hero of her own narrative. I tried to ignore it. Honestly, I laughed at first. Like, really? You're going to lie to everyone and pretend you were the victim? But then it got worse. One of her friends, Jenna, the same one who tipped me off, messaged me. Just so you know, Alyssa's trying to get her gym guy back, but he blocked her. She's furious. I felt a mixture of pity and satisfaction. Pity because I actually liked her once, and satisfaction because she got a taste of the consequences she deserved. Of course, I was still thinking about the money. The flights, the hotel, the meals, all the stuff I'd paid for. Part of me wanted to demand it back. Another part wanted revenge. But I realized something. I wasn't going to beg for money. I wasn't going to chase her down. She had shown me exactly who she was. The money was a drop in the bucket compared to the lesson I'd learned. The first week without her felt surreal. I slept better than I had in months. I didn't worry about where she was or who she was talking to. I didn't feel drained by her constant need for attention or her emotional manipulations. I reconnected with friends I hadn't talked to in a long time. I started going to the gym, reading books I'd neglected, and even started planning small weekend trips for myself, no one else. For the first time in years, I felt like I was living for me. Alyssa tried everything. Texts, calls, social media DMs. Please, I'll explain everything. You don't understand. It wasn't like that. Let's meet. I can make this right. I didn't respond. Not once. And each time I didn't respond, I felt stronger. It was like reclaiming my own life, brick by brick. It was the first time I realized love isn't about control. It's about respect. And she had none for me. 2 months later, I decided to post a full story on Reddit. I wanted to share it, partly as closure for myself, partly as a warning for anyone else in a similar situation. The comments? Overwhelming, supportive, validating. Strangers were telling me, you did the right thing. Don't ever look back. I would have left the second I saw the screenshots. Hearing that, I realized what I already knew. I had made the right decision. Here's the truth I learned the hard way. Cheating isn't always physical. Emotional betrayal, secrecy, and using your partner's resources for your own selfish gains are just as devastating. Gaslighting and blaming you for their mistakes is a red flag you can't ignore. Sometimes, walking away isn't just the right choice. It's the only choice. And most importantly, your self-respect is worth more than any relationship. What would you have done if you found out your girlfriend used your money to take another man on vacation? Would you confront her, forgive her, or leave like I did? Please drop your comment. Whoa, what a story, right? If you're shook like me, give this video a like. Comment below, would you have stayed or walked away? Share this with anyone who loves juicy Reddit drama. And hit subscribe to catch all the latest stories.